Hello, boys and girls. Let's get started building our Adobe Landscapes, shall we? First thing you want to do is put your name on your paper and turn your paper over so your name is on the back. You want to make sure that your paper is in the landscape position, not tall like in portrait, wide as in landscape. Down here in the bottom of our picture, these are going to be the objects that are closest to us. This is in the foreground. Objects that are in the middle are higher up on the paper and they're slightly smaller. These objects are in the middle ground. And objects that are the highest up on the paper, the farthest away from us, the viewer, these items are the smallest. They're in the background. Down here in the foreground, I want you to draw one Adobe house. You can use the pictures that we were looking at earlier, or you can come up with your own using the same Adobe style. Now that I've completed building my Adobe house in the foreground of my paper, in the middle ground of my picture, I'm going to add a cactus. This is going to give us a sense of scenery in our picture where our Adobe houses are, their environment. I want to make sure that I don't make my cactus as big as my house because in the middle ground, these objects are farther away. So my cactus is going to be smaller. If you want to, you can add another one in the middle ground as well. Maybe it's up a little bit higher and it's getting a little bit smaller because it's farther away. And then finally in the background, let's add a ground line or horizon line. It's behind my cactus and behind my Adobe, so when I get to that line, I have to jump over it. And then in the background, touching that horizon line, let's add some mountains. The mountains are the farthest away from us, the viewer. They're going to be the smallest in comparison to our house and cactus. Now I want you to ask yourself, is it daytime or nighttime in your picture? If it's daytime, you should add the sun to your picture, and if it's nighttime, you should add the moon to your picture. You can make it really decorative and full of patterns as well. All right, it's time to add some color to our Adobe landscape. You can use a piece of scratch paper to help keep your work tidy by putting it where your arm is going to be on your picture, since we're going to be using chalk and oil pastels. These will both smudge and smear if your hands keep rubbing across your paper. So the scratch paper will be used as kind of a protector. Using the black oil pastel, you need to trace all of those pencil lines that you drew. I like to start working at the top of my paper and going down towards the bottom. Okay, we've outlined everything in black. Now it's time to add those wonderful, bright, bold colors that you see in the Southwest. We're going to do some blending today with our chalk pastels, and I want you to practice using your analogous colors. Analogous colors are colors that are side by side on the color wheel. So you're going to pick two colors, and when you blend them together, it makes the third color that's in between. So if I pick red and orange, it would make red-orange, and then I have my three analogous colors. So using my chalk pastel, I'll start with the red, and I'll add a little bit of red. And when I'm ready to change, I'll add that second color, which was orange, and I'll put the orange next to it. And then I'll use my fingers to rub and blend the colors together. And you want to overlap them a little bit so that you make that red-orange in the middle. And you can use any of that chalk dust to help fill in some of those gaps. You notice I didn't color all the way to the black line. I'm going to use that chalk dust to help me fill it in. And now I'm going to continue. I'm just going to move my scrap paper over as I move towards the side on my Adobe house here. So I'm going to add more of the orange. And then I'll take my fingers and I'll blend some more. And I have some of that chalk dust, so very carefully I'm just going to push it back onto the Adobe wall. I don't want it on this support beam. There we go. And then I can rub it into the paper. So you can do this with any set of colors. Just make sure that you're using your analogous colors. They are side by side on the wheel. So if I use violet and blue and I mix them together, that makes blue-violet. And I could do that for my mountains or my ground or my cactus. This doesn't have to be realistic today. We just want this to be colorful, and I want to see the color changes in it. Make sure you're using your analogous colors. The last step to complete my project today is I'm going to take that black oil pastel, and once again I'm going to trace all of my lines so that black really stands out. I want to make sure I get all that chalk dust off, so I'm just going to pick up my paper and tap it to knock off all that extra dust. And then using that scratch piece of paper again to help protect my artwork, lay it on your paper and trace those lines. And now you have completed your bold, colorful Adobe landscape. Thanks for creating with me today, guys.